What is up, beautiful people? Today is my birthday. 31 years young, feeling so freaking blessed, so freaking grateful. I'm doing what I love with the people that I love. But I want more, and it's okay to want more. I want more because I know I can be more. I can do more. I can love more. I can live more. I can show my truest self more. I can express myself more. And that is the journey of life, of understanding who you are and what you want from this life, and then leaning into it without fear. And I've let fear hold me back in the past. I've hid from the world. A year ago today on my birthday, I did hide. I didn't want people to know it was my birthday. I didn't want their love. I didn't think I deserved their love. And there's layers to unpack to why I did that. But where I'm at today is I'm done hiding. I'm done playing small. And that's going to take shape in many different forms. And I'm excited for these new things that I'm working on and leaning into. And I deserve everything as you deserve everything. I deserve to be a king as you deserve to be a king and queen. I deserve my queen. I want my queen. My queen can't see me right now because I'm not being me. She can't feel me. She can't find me. I can't call in those people that I was meant to help and impact because I'm not being fully me. Not yet. What this is going to take shape and what I'm launching today is my podcast, Blessed with Bray, from a very intentional of a healing journey, of my own healing journey, and bringing on other leaders who are also healers so we can all heal as a whole. And to also start a men's workout at Squatch Frontier Fitness is what I feel is my purpose to lean more into today, to help men and to help the world heal. And as I said previously, there's layers unpacked of why I was hiding from the world a year ago today. And we're about to dive into that on my first podcast where I'm having my best friend Yash interview me to dissect and understand how we are here today, which is about to go down right now. Let's go. What's up, dude?
That was sick.
Thank you.
Are we going to have this be a part of the same episode?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's cool.
Okay, great.
This is not cool, these text messages. Jesus.
Yeah, silent mode.
Silent mode, do not disturb. First episode, let's go. My intros for the other episodes are cool, though. I told you it's like Bruce Buffer.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very honored to be in this position to interview my dearest friend the day before him turning 31 years young. I love the fact that you always make sure when it's people's birthdays, there's a pattern of you calling out a person as X years young. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a mindset that you have established for yourself. It's a vibe set that you have put across from the people around us. And I'm just very pumped today to be sitting with the person that I would consider Mr. Body Engineer. I was thinking about all the different things that I would use to want to define you, and I feel like there's an endless list of stuff.
Let's hear him. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Obviously, as we all dearly know him through his handle, the Mobile Warrior, the man has put in time through starting off with his being a bull since day one. I don't know if many of you know about Braden, but he wrestled back in the day. And that's not something that is necessarily shared a whole lot. And I'm excited to delve into the lens of your background as to what took you down that path. And, we'll start with that. And I've got other names and other things. And where did the history of fitness start for you?
Yeah, it started in 6th grade as a wrestler. My dad was a coach at a different school and had quit that school to come help out the school I was at, which was in the same county. And immediately I was pretty good. I was varsity my entire life from 6th to 12th grade. But I don't like. It was interesting. I was more connected to that battle, I guess, with the person I was wrestling against in practice. That really drew me to wrestling, and just being very technical and like having to be like a chess match and like think 3 steps ahead and control somebody else is just like it's very empowering. Um, and to this day, I still like have a lot of those skill sets because I was always. I mean, I was the shortest kid in my grade, one of the shortest kids in my grade until like sophomore year of high school. So I was always very small. I wrestled 100 pounds my 8th grade year, 112 my freshman year, 140 my senior year, sitting about 170 right now. So I was tiny. So I had to be smart and think 3 steps ahead of everyone else. But in regards to fitness, like I never was drawn to the gym. I did not like the gym. I needed the gym, but the gym I didn't want the gym, and I didn't appreciate what it could do for my body. I think naturally, and I'm seeing this now as an athlete, is I just have a better call it genetics or mindset. My body is a good endurance athlete, I was able to showcase that through wrestling. But to evolve that to going to college, I'm going to stick with just the fitness route. Going to college, I at that point was fed up with wrestling for a lot of different reasons I would like to dive into later. But I gave up on fitness because I didn't have fitness as a rock at that point. I was doing it for wrestling. I wasn't doing it because fitness gave me anything in return that connected with me emotionally or physically, anything. At that point, it was just a task that I did not enjoy to do. And then we go to college and partying, drinking, and I would work out like 2 weeks prior to spring break, and that was about it my whole entire college career. And couple that with poor eating and alcohol, I became skinny fat. I've been trying to hunt down photos of me in college. I found a few. They're not great, but you can, yeah, I do not look healthy. And that led to post-college, when I was, in my depression routes, and fitness was the thing that got me, the thing that really lifted me up from a different and changed my mindset from the dark tunnel that I had dug for myself to help having the strength to lift myself out of that tunnel or out of that hole. And from there, yeah, it just sparked a passion for me to dive deeper into it. And then here we are today.
Yeah. And I
that's
think
the bull mode just kind of went from there.
Yeah. For me, what I love about your imagery that you've put with the bull is this meditating bull that represents you, where it feels like you have, through the years, you talked about being the smallest one in wrestling. You've talked about how alcohol has impacted you in other parts of your life, depression. There feels like there's been a buildup of possibly frustration, of resentment, of energy that just feels like it's stuck, that needs to be released. And you have, through time, gone to places where you have released this energy in negative manners. But now, through repetition and understanding, and why I thought of you as the body engineer, and I think that's doing a disservice in itself, is because of anyone that I know in a community filled with fitness and health enthusiasts and experts. I think you slurp information down for how can I improve myself, my mind, body, soul. And I don't think, yeah, exactly. It's on the daily. And I don't think I have necessarily seen that across the board as much as I see the people who look great, feel great. I don't think they are consuming all the tiny bits of information to maximize, optimize yourself to feeling even better and the people around better. So on this path, where did that meditative state come from? Because you've showcased the bull being like the person who's releasing this energy. Where does the meditative state show up for you?
Yeah, I think, real quick though, like the bull you just open my eyes to something. I used to get in a lot of fights, from middle school to high school. Not a lot then, but once at college and alcohol, I got in so many fights. I've had so many black eyes. I'm sure that's probably why my jaw is messed up to some level, is because I got my ass kicked a lot. I kicked some ass too, but I don't remember any of the things. So that obviously there's some built up resentment inside me at that point in my life, and I don't think that's gone completely. Those are what we call demons, right? And that's what I was alluding to at the very beginning too, of like my own resentment and deserving of within myself that I'm working on still to this day in my own healing journey, which gets into the meditative practice of how I'm healing, of one of the, or I guess one of the avenues of how I'm healing. But that took a long time for me to get there. But it started with me separating, to simplify my life. How can I separate the things that are bringing me down, that are fueling those demons, versus how can I add more of the things that are fueling the light, the angels, the blessings? How can I really dissect and be in tune with myself in the moment using meditation, using meditative practices to really lean into those things more? And that obviously in itself is evolution practice, but the more you do something, the better you get at something, and the more realizations that you have about yourself when you lean into those things. I think, initially it started with me having to separate myself from alcohol. I clearly could not have a relationship with it where it was just, I'm doing a little bit here. I had to completely let go. And that's been a process that I've then got used to doing, just letting go of things. Like you talk about my ability to slurp, and really slurp. I like that word. I want to get to that too, of just being the healthiest version of myself. It's so ingrained inside me. So like every thinking, my language that I hear from myself and the people around me, like my coach mode, or like, oh, I want you to be the healthiest version of yourself, comes out. But that obviously wasn't the case. But for me, that's my rock. Because if I'm not living that life and being the healthiest version of myself, not only have I attached in a good way being the healthiest version of myself, my best version of myself, because I've seen it, I've lived it, I've been it. But if I don't do that, like there is somewhat of a fear that I am going to fall back into that tunnel. And when I am not at my healthiest, that's when those negative thought patterns come back every single time. So it's so ingrained into me to keep the bull mode forward, to keep learning new ways to be healthier and to get younger, because I think that just unlocks us even more.
Before you can become a bull, you have to be a calf. And you mentioned post-college is when you hit your lowest point possibly with a depressive state. And a faraway mentor of yours says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
That shit still gives me the chills.
Paint the picture for me for how is it that when you found yourself at that lowest point, you came to a conclusion, realization that this is the step that I need to be taking. And how did you go about it?
To contextualize and paint the picture of that rock bottom first, my entire life, at that point, I felt like I always pushed. We talk about procrastination, but like I just remember pushing everything. Like I never wanted to face reality. Never wanted to face I had to work one day, like, and pay for rent. I just wanted to party and chase women. That is literally the simplicity of life that I chose but that's easy for me to look at that. Like, oh yeah, I'm attracted to women. So clearly like I want to go down that route, but it's also like the route that I just didn't believe in myself. And I didn't think I was capable of anything, or again, I didn't deserve anything. So you tackle that energy in that way, that pattern of living over and over and over and over, knowing that where I know now is I have this inner voice, this inner calling that I was destined to do fucking great things. And when that door is knocking and you don't open that door, you start building this freaking safety chains, and it's like, and then that's when you start getting heavier and heavier. Now the whole house is built. Your whole house is surrounded with chains weighing you down. And it's not fun, and I think and I've talked about this, it really came down, like we always have one decision that can change your life. We've all seen that quote. I think one decision, obviously over time, in different contexts and different scenarios in your life, we are one choice because we're a product of choices that can change our life. And I was faced with the reality of, like, if I keep going down this path, like, I don't want to live, because I know I can do more. And I know that in order for me to feel whole and really love myself, that I need to lean into these things. And it just, like, I hear that quote, and he talks about success, but, like, I mean, success means so many different things. At that point, I didn't know what the hell, like I didn't know what success was. I just knew that success for me was living, and breathing is a part of living. And I knew that me chasing the route, because after that, it was like when I got my first gym membership and started going down that route. But it took me really, like, facing the reality of, like, do I want to live? And, like, I like, for 2 years would think about my death, would visualize it. And just to talk about that, I can talk about it casually now, but, like, to put in perspective, like, if someone else is dealing with that, it's not a good place. You don't, like, I am the light that I am today, but you couldn't see that then. My family couldn't see it. I remember when I made that shift, that my grandpa and all these, like, they could just see it, and the people around me could see it. But for 2 years, I'd be driving and just like, oh, what if I just turned left and just went straight into the median, and, like, I'm sitting with that, and what stopped me was my family. And then that was the first initial, and I'm like visualizing, how is that going to make them feel? How am I going to be a burden on their life that I decided to take my life? Even that is a not a healthy way to think about it, but it is what stopped me from taking my life. And yeah, it's fucking crazy to where we're at today. My dreams have started to come true, but it hasn't been easy.
It takes a great amount of courage to be able to step into your own path and say, I'm going to rewrite what I'll do. I'll rewrite the definition of success. What success looked like back then is completely different than what success is now. And it takes a whole lot of courage to consistently show up. And as you wear the shirt that says "Be of Courage," I want to move to the second part of what I consider you to be. I don't really have the best name yet, and I think you have coined it as the best aspect. You have gone from that low point to building courage for yourself every single day to now building culture for the people around us. You are the minister of culture at Squatch Fitness. None of these community workouts exist if it wasn't for the fact that you stepped into this specific position and said, let's bring people together. Where did this desire to start bringing people together stem from? Because when you talked about going off that median, you are in your own space thinking about you being that burden. And now we're on a completely different page. What is the journey that brought you to say, I envision this entire future? And what is culture to you? Can you define culture?
Let me define culture first.
Yeah.
It's a collection of ideas and beliefs that a group of people share within a community. That is culture to me.
I love that. And I think, you embody the fact that, how would you define the culture of Squatch Frontier Fitness?
The first one is, I would say freedom is the first thing that comes up. You know, I've worked in corporate fitness, and the first thing that you feel is you're going to be sold something, and there's like this ickiness around that. People are free here to move how they want. I always like to say, move how you want, love how you want, be who you want, and we hold space for that. I would say we're very unconventional. You know, there's no BS. You know, there's people like myself who are creators, but it's not fluff, and that comes with no judgment of any other gym or people or groups of creators. It's just like we're very unconventional because again, I've worked in corporate fitness, and everything about Squatch is just there's nothing like it. The fact that you can come in and take your shoes off and your shoes off and things of that nature. Yeah, freedom is a big one. And that's it's rooted in what I believe I can offer the world is creating more love and freedom.
And that's why you obviously have your very first tattoo that talks dearly about taking action or leading with love. Leading with love to me shows up as being empathetic constantly. And it feels that by creating these communal events, you're allowing for the synchronicities, the connections, for people to have the opportunity to now say, I have these ideas that could have been stemmed off, and I'm building. So you're a community builder. I would say that is right now one of the primary things that I would put you up as. But to get to being a community builder, you have, as we just talked about, gone through your healing journey. And something that I really appreciate in this journey is that the lack of traditional resources that you went through. Because a lot of people talk about, I'm at my lowest point, I need a therapist. I need a therapist. Without a therapist, I'm not getting the help that I need. We didn't talk about a therapist at all in this conversation. What are the things that you feel like you found therapy through? Because there's so many people who are feeling kind of in that position of, I want to get to what Bray has done. I've gone from, he's gone from this rock bottom to now being the person who is the shining beacon of light. But I feel like I don't have this support system that I need. How do people create support systems?
Yeah, I mean, it gets back to doing and leaning into the things that bring you the most life and energy, and not having fear around how someone may see you or how you might show up, because you are human. I think before I want to get there real quick, because you mentioned lack of resources, I just kind of want to go down that route real quick. I feel very rich in life right now.
Yeah.
Financially, not so much, and you know this, and that is evolving, and I am becoming richer. But I have not. I'm a white male. I'm not going to go down the resources route, but I have been broke my entire life. What other white privileges it comes to being a white male? Financially, I have been broke my entire life. I worked throughout college. I had a job, delivered food. Always had the ugliest car.
You had a pretty nice car last year, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. But yeah, always had a crappy car, and yeah, I looked poor. I had hand-me-downs. Post college, when I was working in a prison. I was going down this route, criminal justice, blah 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 blah. And when I made that shift and got out of my home, I was working a manual labor job for 2 years in Castleton. Manual labor job, installing fitness equipment in multi-million-dollar homes. We're driving a box truck every day at 23, 24 years old, and some people in their corporate jobs. And I say the corporate job saying it because I was at that point very in comparison model, and having even more judgment and guilt of myself. And then like moving here, not having a job yet, not having a lot of resources, I started from the bottom of LA Fitness and leaned into my fears of, and this is also answering the question of how to find support systems, because I was thankful to have a family that was supportive, emotionally, but I wasn't able to really let them in. But that was there. Financially, not as much, but there was support. My mom has helped me out multiple times over the years. I just wasn't helping myself. And then, yeah, but then fast forward here, and I just put my energy into work because like at that point I couldn't fail because if I moved back to Indiana, we back in the place of like I don't want to live. Like I can't go back there. So I moved here and to literally like I was saying, new year, new state, new me. Like I am starting fresh, clean slate. But I still had my college friends here, and they remind me a little bit of my past versions of myself, of my fighting self, my blackout Braden Bob self that I got labeled on. And it was easier to recreate a new me, but it was still challenging given the context or given the fact that I was still around this group of people. Not that they were putting me down, well, some, but in different ways. But yeah, I went into LA Fitness and started from the bottom and worked my way up to fitness director. It's a cool title. There could be good money with it, but it was very hard. It's a sales job. But I still was by myself. Like I felt alone by myself. But I was moving the needle forward. I told myself I'd work there 2 years. I worked there 2 years. And I got skill sets that I can't take away from. And I got confidence in myself. Because at that point, I had done, let me tell you, like, nothing in my life in terms of professionally. Like, my resume, I worked in a prison. I was a correctional officer. I worked a manual labor job. I'm sure I fluffed up my resume to sound way cooler than that, but I had no professional skill. Luckily, I had a training certification. LA Fitness hired me. Fast forward to quitting there during COVID. I still at this point felt very lonely in the world. And did not have the support as you're asking about. But I just knew, again, at that point in time that I needed to, the next step, and then I get my DUI after my first year here. And that was the sign from above to stop drinking, and which eventually led to me be able to separate completely the college friends that didn't, it's not that they were bad people. It was just I couldn't be who I wanted to be with them. So I knew I needed to separate from that for me to blossom to the person that I knew I could be. And that was just an inner voice that was talking to me. And thankfully I got the DUI that cleaned up my act, and I ended up meeting Ross a few months later, and that like led into like being in the right places because I was making choices that aligned with me. And you can call it God, you can call it blessings, omens, all the different things started falling in my lap because I was living in more alignment with myself. So to answer your question, how does one find more support in this freaking scary and lonely and fearful world? There's so many different avenues, and I think obviously fitness has been a form of therapy for me in many different ways. But just like anything else, it can also be negative in many different ways. I think having relationships with people that you feel very safe, that hold space for you, that you can open up to is huge. I think too many people get way too attached to their childhood friends, college friends, and maybe they are the right people for them, but maybe that was just a product of the people you grew up with in your environment, and and they don't actually support that higher version of yourself. And you can feel those things. Like I'm speaking anecdotally from my own life, but I know people can feel those things because I've had conversations with people. And I've helped people and gave them like perspective on how they deserve more. And if someone isn't giving you what you deserve, then you need to move on. So relationships, fitness, obviously like church is a big thing. I have a lot of respect for, I have my own point of view from church per se and religion, but I think it just like it's a place, it's a reminder of being good around other people who want to be good. At least it may only be for that day or that hour, but inherently everyone in that room, I do feel confident they want to be good. So I think that is a form of therapy. Yeah, and I think the last one, the most important one, is are you living your purpose? That is the best therapy in the world. When you and this is where it got me out of my hole, was like, I knew this voice was inside me and saying like, yo, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you have so much more to offer the world and you're not doing it. And that's how people, I mean, that's a version of why people get anxious and have all this anxiety and all this stress, because they're doing things that are weighing them the hell down, that don't align with them, one, and they're not living something that's greater than them, that has a higher power. I think we all have a role to play. Like, I'm always battling, like, there's like Alex Hormozy's, that say like, you're not as important as you think you are. And I agree, but I also don't agree. I think we all are important as hell. Like, we all have a very finite time on this planet, and we can choose whatever the hell we want. But I think it is a level of duty, and this is probably where God would say too, a level of duty that you have, that you owe at some capacity to this world, that you can have an impact on. And I think that voice is always in there. It's calling. Courage is calling, right? And a lot of people don't answer. I didn't answer for a long time. I'm still answering more, still learning more. Cool thing, like with going down this route of listening to that voice, you get better at dissecting. Oh, is it the demon actually talking this time? Shut up, bro. Like, we're going this way.
Yeah, I love the aspect of people in purpose leads towards more love.
Yep.
Across the board. And I think something that you have, I know something that you've done for me anecdotally, and then knowing so for the people around, is you found purpose in prioritizing how people can live their life being pain-free and feeling strong and fast at the same time. Because that is a core tenet for you and how it allowed you to get to the point where you are now in life, for you to pursue all these other aspects. Because I remember my mid-20s went towards pain. And I remember my pain played a huge role in the demise of a relationship that I thought was going to be a lifelong relationship. And the amount of people that live in this continuous pain is unfortunately a lot. And I love that I find myself now in a place where without the pain, I just have a lot more bandwidth on a day-to-day basis for me to think about, focus on what it is that I love to do. I just frees up so much space. It's now an afterthought for me to be like, oh, I have to go put my time somewhere else. Where did your methodology, I guess, arrive on? Did you have pain in your own body? Did you have lack of speed? Because you've created this new methodology of pain-free. I'm blanking on this.
Strong, fast, pain-free.
Strong, fast, pain-free. Thank you. Which sticks out because it's, to me, the model that now I feel allows me to, on a week-to-week basis, go hit my other targets and goals. So how did you get to that like specific strong, fast, pain-free?
Yeah. I mean, it's been an evolving door just of me listening to my own body and what I can see in the world that I believe people need to have a healthy body and heal from a physical standpoint and emotional standpoint. So first, pain was always the first one. I had a lot of pain. I had injuries from wrestling. I had injuries from a spring break accident, and I never addressed them. And I went directly into bodybuilding, and just immediately had all these pain points. I'm like, bro, this sucks. Like, I don't understand why I don't want to continue. Like, I already don't enjoy this. Why would I do this just to look a certain way in pain? So that is like immediately, and I've always had this like challenge of thing. I always question things. Like I quit watching the news when I was 18. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are people watching the news? It's so negative. And that was at 18. Imagine like another, 31 now. I can't do the math, but 13 years. Yeah, math. I was Cal 2 in high school. I was a beast at math at one point. Yeah, I was a beast. I really enjoyed it. I was a smart kid until Yeah.
I mean, you're still smart. You put the strong, fast, pain-free in people's bodies. That's smartness is a thing that evolves, right?
For sure. And that's yeah. I am smart. Yeah. So
Shattering limiting beliefs.
Exactly. Pain free was the first one. That was the first avenue. Just because I did have pain in my body. But also, like, now fast forward to today, a level of that is the emotional sense of like letting things go, and I've gotten better and better at that. But over the years, I put the world on my back. Like I do that, and I it's because I do want to have such a large impact that those things start weighing me down. But the way I can express myself and let go of those things, it opens me up to be more pain free. The strong and fast, just like that really came into the fold. I always believed in functionality. Like even when I was at LA Fitness, the way I would do my presentations, I would always talk about like the functional movements, functional training, getting strong for your day-to-day world, because that's what we live in. Like we're animals, we're warriors, we're athletes. We're not meant to do a 1 rep max. I mean, we can do a 1 rep max. I'm saying there's just not very much carryover to your day-to-day. So like being functionally strong in your own body and feeling strong. And then the fast came more into the fold when I started competing. But also understanding that some, like the endurance athletes in the world, some of them have the best, some of them live the longest. In terms of a world where cardiovascular health is like killing us, having a good heart is super important. So the fast is not even just a sense of moving fast, which is connected to your heart, but it's also being able to recover fast and have healthy, blood flow, a good heart rate, a low resting heart rate, good HRV, to a max. So it's really just creating the complete human, from my perspective, and doing it pain free.
Yeah, I feel that there's a few people around us who are athletes who unfortunately live in pain, and then that's like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of situation. And I think something that I have, through the shattering of my own ego by training alongside you, have realized that I gotta go slower, because the pain-free aspect is probably allowing me to get stronger. And I can sense now, I haven't been necessarily in a whole lot of pain, minus my knee recently with like a strain for that. And I love to show up to the gym a lot more. I love to just be able to do.
We only have so much energy a day, and people don't realize we push things off. It's because there's a cultural thing of like, oh, this is very common. People have pain. My parents had pain. My grandparents had pain. Pain is what I'm supposed to have. Pain is a part of the process. Pain is temporary. What's that? Pain, no pain, no gain. Like, it's just like, it's so ingrained in our culture that we're supposed to have pain. And people don't realize that your training is supposed to level up your life and performance. It's supposed to give you life. It's supposed to give you more energy, not take away.
I want to ask about future ambitions of yours, where you want to see yourself go, because I have some biases and thoughts for who I envision you as right now. You're a community builder. You are building all of these programs as well for allowing people to become the best athlete version of themselves. But I have a few biases of my own. And first, I would like to ask you where you see yourself in 3 years from a position of your purpose. If you were to paint the picture of, I'm living out my purpose, my day looks like this, what is Braden doing?
Yeah, in 3 years, I feel like I'm gonna be in my prime of like fitness. People say prime, in terms of, in 3 years, I feel like I'm gonna be in my prime. I think 26 to like 33, it doesn't matter your sport, you can be in your prime. Usually, basketball is probably a little younger. Football is a little younger. But in my world, like, I started a little bit later, and I'm still learning new ways to get stronger and faster and do it pain-free. I think what I am most passionate about, and this is a spark within this own podcast that's getting launched, is healing. And what are the avenues that help people to heal? And that is, for me, currently 2 things that just keep flashing in my mind is love and freedom. How can people have more love and more freedom? So to start with, let's start with freedom. That takes forms in a couple different ways. There's the physical freedom of being strong, fast, and pain-free. There's the emotional freedom to be, I say the mental freedom to challenge yourself without fear. Fear is inevitable, but I guess without fear holding you back is what I should say. There's the emotional freedom of being unbothered, the untethered soul, to not be triggered, to not respond impulsively, to not project, to not shame or judge another. There's a spiritual freedom of living for something greater than yourself, and embodying in that and accepting it and getting out of your own way. And let's go to love, and then I'll go where the 3 years looks like. Love, how are you producing more love into your world? We all want to be loved. We all want to give love. That is the fundamental. That is it to me. Everything is built from love. How do we go about that? That starts with ourselves and having specific, back to those 4 pillars: emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, routines around all 4 of them that allow us to love ourselves more in order to be able to not only give more love, but show other people how to love you, and have a better understanding of how you can give, but also how you can receive, and a better understanding of how you want to receive it, and having that clarity. Fast forward 3 years.
We'll get to the 3 years in a sec. I want to interject and possibly go off on a slight tangent because we are talking about love. And since the podcast is going to be about healing journey and going to get into great conversations around healing and being vulnerable and trying to dissect how one can get to a better place of love and a better place of freedom, something that you've consistently done and we've covered here has been the community building through the Squatch events that you have put on repetitively every month. And that allows people to come together, hang out, and feel like they are a part of something. And you and I have had this conversation, I think, a couple times now, where you've brought all of these people together, but you've mentioned that you have felt alone. There seems to be an inner voice that talks to you possibly, which is in contrast to what might be the physical view that you see in front of you. What is it that is the loneliness that you feel or like tap into sometimes? Because it's based around love. In my knowledge of knowing you well, it's rooted a bit in the aspect of possibly not having a loved one specific person. But what is that loneliness to you? What is fighting that loneliness to you look like? And
I just want a perspective. Like I know that I'm a light and I'm very positive, but I am human, and I am always, as every human, having an internal battle daily. I still get thoughts of suicide. Those things still come up because we have thousands and thousands of thoughts every single day, and that was a big chapter of my life. And there's things that bring forth that type of energy. Loneliness is something that I've experienced throughout my entire life because I didn't feel truly seen and truly loved. But that started with myself. I needed to do that for myself, and I have learned over the years how to better do that. But again, I am human. I have low points. So my low point is going to look different than someone else's low point, right? Because we have different thoughts and different synapses and different cycle of feedbacks that we created within ourselves. But we created them. Someone else didn't put them there. We created them through our own environment and developed these beliefs around whatever our environment was telling us. So And these low points, and what he's reciting is I've had a couple times in the past month. Well, we can go back to last year too. A lot. Okay, I'm not gonna say the past month. A lot where I have so much love around me, and I can feel it. Like people, they really they enjoy my company. I can feel that. But I feel empty. I feel not. I feel alone. And there is this element. I am ready for my queen, and I think for the longest time I suppressed that energy. And I'm still in a place where I'm still not treading lightly, but I'm not aggressively like searching for the one. But I am open to receiving that energy. But I think loneliness is a disease. If you look at, like, I always bring up Robin Williams because I love Robin Williams, and he took his life, and he had all these things, and he was this positive man, and he was this brilliant man, and he took his life. And to me, it's like he was fighting that battle that I am fighting. Like, I can relate to that, but at the end of the day, like, I have a choice, and there's no judgment around his choice. I don't know what the hell he was going through. It still saddens me to this day that he decided to take his life. And for me, it's like, how do I decide not to do that? I was riding my bike, literally leaving the community workout after I just got on the phone with you. And I had a thought. It came in. It's like, what if I looked both ways in the road? What if I just fucking went, man? And that sounds scary to hear for other people, and that we're that close, but we are that close to death always. It's right there. It's always knocking. And that's why it gets back to love, and a love routine is all I needed is to go through the routes. I needed sleep. That was one. My nervous system was taxed from a long day. I needed food, water. I needed a conversation with a friend. I needed maybe some sauna and contrast therapy. There's so many avenues that can help alter. Maybe some breath work. I went back and did some breath work. I ended up going to a friend's birthday and met an amazing other person, woman, I should say. I wanted to not, but and yeah, like I almost didn't go. And I would have been in my own pity, my own sadness, and it wouldn't have allowed me to meet that person, one, and I left it feeling charged up. So it's in those finite moments, like, because like we're all like so many decisions away, or sorry, one decision away from altering our current state. Like, but it's hard when you're in that darkness. You can't see. You got to believe that there is light there, and it's so hard to keep moving forward. But it comes like every single time. But we had to put the work in.
Yeah, I love the fact that you were able to recognize that this voice is out of the norm, even though it stems in the reality of us being humans, where I feel there's days when I'm like, damn, I feel really lonely. I don't have this person that I want to spend my time with. But knowing you and how you have an outpour of love to give, it's kind of just the same sort of bucket. Once you start giving, you will receive.
Exactly.
And that's across all aspects of life. And just because it has not necessarily fallen into the romantic bucket, it's just a yet.
Yep.
It's not a forever.
Well, I want to tap into this real quick. I'm ready to give more. That's why I'm starting this podcast. I'm ready to give so much more. Because even though I am this light and I do have this love to give, we've had conversations of somewhat of where I come in with some judgment towards different creators, because like I feel like I'm working so hard and I want it to be easy. Working so hard. But your dreams take so much work. And it's worth it. It's just like when I'm in the middle of a 400-meter sprint and it freaking sucks so much. I hate it. I finish that sprint. I'm like, damn, so happy I did that. I feel so good right now. And that is life. It's not that life's a sprint. It's an ultra marathon. We are writing an amazing book where every chapter has these these dead ends, and we got to change routes and find a new path. But I'm ready to give more. And what I mean by that in terms of bringing up the creators, like I had to rewire my thinking. Is like, I do want everyone to win, but internally I'm having this like resentment that other people are winning and I'm not. And I'm like, why? Like, that is not me. That is not me. And that's me having that internal intuition with myself. Like, oh, that is a feeling that I do not like, does not support me and who I want to be and who I want to show up and how I want people to see me. Even though they may not see that, internally I can feel that. And if I can internally feel that, there's a level of me projecting that energy out into the world, of me not being whole and not being authentically me. On top of that, another example of when I was competing and training, like I would shut out the world. Like, it's very easy for me to want to shut out the world. I need to lock in, focus, boundaries. Leave me the fuck alone. That's not me. I want to compete and have fun. I want to be the high vibe person that I am and bring the energy and feel, people can feel that stuff. That's who I am.
So going into this next chapter of this marathon of a book, ultra marathon of a book of your life, what's that next chapter of, or next 3 chapters, I suppose, if you look at each chapter as a year? Where's that looking?
I want to say something real quick because I think when I got back from the road trip, I was telling people it feels like I'm writing a new book. And I listened to this podcast, Matthew McConaughey. I love that dude. I can't wait to shake his hand one day. I just connect with him on so many levels. He's like, dude, he was talking to this podcast at his house. He's like, you're not writing a new book. It might be a new chapter. It might be just a new paragraph. There's only one book. And to me, saying that I'm writing a new book, now that I'm looking back, that's me having shame at some level or guilt over these past versions of myself. That I was ready to forget you, bro. Like, we're on to this next book. And I don't believe that anymore. As I've sat with that, and when he heard that, it really, like, I already believed it, but then it just concreted into my mind that every chapter of your book, every line, every word, every letter is significant. Everything has significance at some level.
I often think back to this line by Kanye from the song Glory, I think. He said, everything I'm not made me everything I am. And when I first heard it, I was just like, what does that line specifically mean? And to your point of this, Matthew McConaughey talking about the book, everything I'm not is the current version of yourself, knowing that you're not all of those things in the past. But all of those things in the past is what brought you to the point that you are here now. So I love that. I love the fact that you've got to the realization that there's only one book, but this book always needs past chapters to be able to make sense.
Yep.
So the next 3 chapters.
Yep. Next 3 chapters.
If we just...
Are we just fast forward to the third one? I was going to say, I want people to compete for the best version of themselves. I think people give up. They don't work. We just don't want to work hard. And that even saying that's like triggering for people. It's like, oh, like very alpha, masculine, be more flowy. Yes, I agree in those things in very finite and very portions of my life. I'm doing those things, but you can compete to be the best version of yourself, because every day is a battle to me. Because every day we are faced with those demons and those angels and deciding a choice every single day of how we want to show up. We have that choice. No one can take that from you. I understand there's different cultures that have different resources and different governments and don't have as many choices to make, but there is a choice to make. There always is a choice. So for me, it's really inspiring people to compete more. And that can take shape in so many different ways. One is actually competing, fitness competitions. I think it's one of the most impactful things that have changed my life, and I want to get more people competing. And
changed it for me. You got me into this thing.
Yeah. And there's only going to be more options to compete, and I want to be a part of that too, of helping creating more competitions. I see that for myself. 3 years from now, like, I imagine I'm still like traveling a lot and competing, and hopefully talking as well on this mindset and perspective on life and how to heal and how to create community and culture within these other places. And Squatch is thriving, like as it already is. But my ability to use my power gets higher because now I'm able to not only more lean into me, but I have the financial security to have the freedom and the more love around me to really express myself. Because to get back to, I guess, having more joy in your life and having more fulfillment, you can't have, like, to me, that is rooted in love and freedom. So the more love and freedom I'm going to create for myself, which I'm just still just getting started, I'm going to have more joy. Like, that's just how it's going to work. And because I'm going to keep giving more and more and more, therefore I'm going to receive a lot more.
Something that I didn't tap into when we broke down the phrase mobile warrior is the aspect of the mobility that you've brought into play. And why I am revisiting this is so I can share on this podcast that's going to be live, where I see 3 years from now, something that I believe you offer that separates, not only necessarily bringing people into competition, I think from the standpoint of mobility, what you've created for yourself and the athletes around here is taking them to another whole new level, because they're able to tap into these micro muscles, all of these parts that wasn't prior. So 3 years from now, this is where I am inserting myself as a co-author in your book, I suppose. I could sense that 3 years from now, you are working alongside with the best athletes in their respective fields by training them, coaching them on specific programming, whatever it is, to get them to the next level. Because I think there's a lot of athletes who've got to a certain position and are now like, I'm at my peak. But I don't think they have seen the peak yet. There's some clouds that are there. And I believe you can disperse some of these clouds based off all the things that you've done for myself and just the people around here. So just wanted to add a footnote, I suppose, in your book as to speaking out loud as to where I see yourself within 3 years for the elites itself, because I agree that you're going to spread joy across the board with.
I think with that, though, I thank you for your footnote. I believe it'll be more of helping the homies become elite athletes versus connecting. But those, it's gonna be more of the homies. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel called to also. We've had this conversation in the dating space, and I think there needs to be more men that are emotionally intelligent and aware and able to express themselves. So I feel really called to help more men in that capacity to do that, to create more, I guess, good bachelors for the women out there, so we can create more good offspring for future generations. I think that, there's some people are good at being parents and teaching parents how to be better parents. I think I can play a role in helping more men, as I believe you can too, and being more emotionally aware of themselves and knowing how to communicate themselves better, to show up better as a man in today's world.
Yeah, I love that. And because I want to use this one as a revisit down the line as well. We're starting your birthday off with you bringing men together to create a space of a loving environment through workout. I suppose the start of this is a workout, but then it sparks further into bringing men together and having these conversations. Is that the direction that you've envisioned with the Spartan?
Potentially. I'm not going to, just like even strong, fast player, I'm living in the moment of what makes sense today. I don't have a struggle with consistency. It's more just what to be consistent on, and getting that clarity over time. And like what I have clarity on today within my own purpose that is probably going to evolve in maybe 3 years, who knows? That today I am met to speak, use my voice more in the form of a podcast, and bring other people who I really think are great at using their voice to allow and help people to heal. There in order to create more love and freedom in their life and live out their purpose. And then with that, I want to bring men together to work out and be able to show some of the training and be able to give back to those men and create a container where I don't know what it looks like yet. Where they can face those demons, because that's what I am battling, and I know other men are too. And that's going to evolve how it's going to evolve.
Great. And I would like to end this lovely first podcast by asking the Dawn of Squatch, the Bray Dawn, with some parting blessings. Could you bless us, Bray, with any last words?
Yeah. It starts with me, and when I say it starts with me, it starts with you. All change starts at an individual level. We all have different, evidence, points, analytical points, data, I should say, that influences our day-to-day thinking. And I ask to just be more curious about what that information that you're telling yourself is and what it means to you. I think awareness is such a powerful gift, and it takes a lot of work to be really aware. Not a lot of work. I don't want to say that. It doesn't take a lot of work. It takes creating time to sit with ourselves and do what they call the inner work, to create opportunities to be meditative, whatever practice that you want to practice, and really sit with those thoughts and dissect them. Do they actually serve you? And really sitting and looking at your life and your actions, your day-to-day actions, do they actually serve you? And look at the people around you and the people that you give your time to consistently. Do they actually serve you? And look at your job, and is it aligned with how you want to live in the world and the impact that you want to create? And look at your relationships, your loved ones, and how are you communicating with them, and are they your loved ones? So look inward so you can create a better outward, external world. Because that external world starts from your inner world. And if your inner world is not happy, is not whole, is not at peace, then your outer world becomes not happy, becomes war, becomes negative, becomes all these things that are going to blind you from how freaking amazing life is. So,
Bless him.
bless him, baby, bless him. Let's fucking go.
Thank you. That was the first episode. That was great.
This episode. Thank you.
Loved it, brother.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Appreciate it. That was terrible.
I was the end part.